that question. Why do you seek Christ? What's in it for you? Is he simply your ticket out of hell? Or is there more to it? Obviously, when we first get saved, the number one thing we're trying to avoid is hell. That's true, and that's normal. It's only natural to have that motive. I've heard preachers say that we need to get saved out of a motivation of love and not fear. Well, I think that if you don't have a proper fear of hell, then you really don't understand the implications. Jesus died so that we may escape that condemnation. So I certainly don't see anything wrong with seeking Jesus to escape hell. And he provided us with that escape. However, once we've come to him, once we've believed on him, once we're now safe and secure, we need to grow beyond that initial stage. It's important that the believer grow, in our biblical knowledge, grow in our wisdom and understanding. Obviously grow in the way that we live our lives day to day. We don't do this grudgingly. We don't do this out of guilt. We do this because we've come to trust him more and more. We do this because it was him who first loved us. Quite frankly, we do this because we want to. I heard the story once of a man named Jonathan who nearly destroyed his own life with rebellious living. He had come from a rough upbringing. Both of his parents were alcoholics. They were irresponsible and at times very abusive. At a young age, he was taken from them. He was placed into a foster home where he received more abuse. He bounced around different foster homes until he finally reached the age of 18. By this time, he had a growing distrust for everyone. He saw all people in the same light as he saw his own failed parents. To him, everyone was out to get whatever they wanted at the expense of others. And so he decided there and then that he would no longer be a victim. Nobody was going to take advantage of him or mistreat him ever again. The tables had turned, and from now on, he himself would have the upper hand. He would take whatever he wanted by any means necessary. He would lie, cheat, and steal. Nothing would stand in his way of pursuing his own happiness. And so he became a notorious womanizer, a cheat, and a fraud. He did very well in this regard. In fact, he kept at it for 20 years, until the day he met Sally. She was a few years younger than Jonathan. She'd grown up in a stable home with parents who loved and cared for her. When she met Jonathan, she pitied him. She didn't view him in the same way that others did. She saw right through his perceived toughness and saw him for who he really was. A hurt, scared man who never knew what it felt like to be loved or cared for. They began dating. He quit being a womanizer overnight. And for the first time in his life, he did not feel compelled to be a fraud. The weeks led to months. Jonathan and Sally had grown very fond of one another. He was beginning to have some self-respect. After a year had gone by, they decided to get married. And as they were making the final arrangements for this wedding, Sally sat down with Jonathan to discuss a very important matter. She said to him, "I know about your past life. I know about the lying. I know about the cheating. I know about the womanizing. But I also know that you've changed. And I trust that you will remain faithful to me. But if you don't, I want you to know that I will forgive you." A few days later, Jonathan was bragging to a friend about this girl he was going to marry. He told him all about her love and her kindness toward him. He told him how she knew who he really was, and yet she loved him anyway. Then he told his friend how much she trusted him and how much she was willing to forgive. His friend then said, "Wow, Jonathan, you picked a good one. She's willing to put up with your shenanigans. She's willing to take you back after an affair with another woman." Jonathan then turned to his friend, horrified with even the thought of doing such a thing, and said, "How could I ever be unfaithful to someone who loves me this much?" See, that, I believe, is the model for the Christian life. See, God takes pity on the sinner. He offers pardon. He offers full forgiveness. We come to him empty-handed, undeserving. We get saved in spite of our sin, in spite of our failures. The only appropriate response is to live faithfully, not to earn God's favor. That's impossible. But because he graciously poured out his loving kindness on us, because he was merciful. We live a life pleasing to him because we want to, not because we have to. And that, I believe, is the attitude that leads to a real changed life. Let's pray. Lord, again, I thank you for your word. I thank you for the very straightforward message that we have here tonight. I thank you that you still are asking the question, what is it that we're seeking? I pray that at least everyone here would take a